Blaine Gray here from Plastering for Beginners, and today we're going to talk about the different types of plaster and when to use them. If you're new to the game, you're starting out and you're not quite sure what plaster to use, it can be quite confusing at first. There's a lot out there. So in this video we're going to decide which ones to use for the finish. That means where you're plastering onto walls, plasterboard, which ones to use for filling, which ones do we use to stick in plasterboard, what do we use externally, and what do we use as a backing plaster where you don't want to use plastering board. We're going to go through all these scenarios and we're going to dissect which plasters to use and when. And there's even some plasterers who are using the wrong products at the wrong times. And if you're not quite sure when to use these products, then stay tuned to this video because I'll make sure that I'll explain the process and the method of why and what plasters to use and when. So stay tuned and keep listening. Thanks a lot. We'll be using this. This is Thistle Hardwall from British Gypsum. This is what we're going to use to apply onto any masonry background. That's the only plaster you should use really. And you always throw it into a mix of water first, mix it together. I'll show you a clip on that. So we always use Hardwall for masonry. So as you can see there, like I explained, Hardwall is mainly used just for masonry backgrounds. You don't use this on plasterboard, you don't use this when you're filling in any joints. This is used primarily just to be used as a backing plaster on masonry background. So this is blockwork, brickwork, and just any masonry background which you can use as a backing plaster. And by that I mean, instead of using plasterboard to stick it, we're actually going to do a solid coat of plaster first. And this is what Hardwall is designed for. It's like doing it the old school way where you're filling mainly just using plaster. This clip here shows you a demonstration how to do it. Again, this video isn't about the process. I'm just going to show you what the different types of plasters are, what they do, and when to be used. So this is where you're working on blockwork and you just want a solid base of plaster. This is the stuff to use. It's called British Gypsum Hardwall. Other companies will do it. Like I said, I'd say Hardwall because I'm only familiar with British Gypsum, but they are very interchangeable within the companies. And the way it works is you usually typically do about 12mm thickness, 12 to 15mm thickness of Hardwall, and that makes for your backing coat. And what you do, you apply the plaster and you rule it off. That way you're going to get a straight set of backing plaster all the way through your masonry backgrounds. And again, this isn't to be used for filling or making sure you're doing little patches because it's so porous. This is just designed for blockwork, brickwork, and anything on that level. And that's all it's really designed for. It's a backing plaster just for that. So if you see anyone using Hardwall for filling in any sections of plasterboard or building stuff out, it's the wrong product. This is just to be used as a backing plaster. As you can see in the video, you apply it, you rule it off, you rule it flat, and then that way, when it comes to drying, you've got a flat surface to skim on. And to be fair, this is the old school way of doing plastering. It's a bit of a dying art, but what I've found, especially recently, a lot more people are asking for this form of plastering as it's going. They are asking for a lot more solid plaster rather than the old dot and dab like the plasterboard adhesive, and that's what we're going to talk about in a bit. But for now, this product is just used for that. Next up, we have British Gypsum Bonding. This is the ultimate patch plaster, I find. There it is, that's what it looks like. Thistle bonding coat, that's British Gypsum's type. And this is my go-to for any patching. On this section here, basically I've had to fill in a doorway, and where I put a plasterboard isn't level with the rest of the wall. Bonding is designed to be used on low suction backgrounds, and by that I mean plasterboard, if you're chasing in onto plaster that isn't a level with the area around it. And low suction basically means somewhere that doesn't suck in moisture at a fast rate. Brickwork, masonry backgrounds, blocks, they're always high suction because as soon as you expose that brickwork to any water, it'll just drain it straight in, where plasterboard doesn't, and neither does plaster. So this is when you use bonding. You use it to fill out any areas, you use it to patch in. As you can see, this doorway, I'm just filling it with the bonding, and it's such a good product. It's really versatile. You can use it in any situation. But again, don't use it as you would do Hardwall because it hasn't got the strength that Hardwall has. So if you are thinking of working on solid plastering where you are working on a masonry background, just stick with Hardwall as a product, or sand and cement, which we'll talk about in a bit. But again, this is just for filling in any low areas. So as you can see, it was about 5mm shallower, and all I've done is use the bonding, rule it off with a straight edge, preferably straight edge. I'm using a speed skim here, but again, it's not too bad. And it's designed to build up the areas which are low in some instances. So that's where bonding comes in this design. Again, it's really easy to use. It will stick to anything, this stuff. It is a brilliant product. Hardwall isn't as forgiving in that sense, whereas bonding, I find, will stick to most substrates. Another example, what I've got here, as you can see, this wall has a lot of the top plasters come loose, and all is exposed is the backing plaster. That's when bonding is ideal. You fill in any areas where are low, use bonding. Don't use Hardwall. Use bonding, because it's brilliant for them areas at about 3 to 5, 6mm that just need filling. Especially when you're chasing out back boxes, or if you've got the electricians have come in and left their they left their work everywhere, where they've left holes all over the place. This is a product to use. It's bonding. It's a cracking bit of kit, and it's very versatile. It works in most situations. So if you're filling, building up any areas where it's lower, working on plasterboard, bonding is the one, where Hardwall is designed just to be used as a backing plaster. So that's the use of bonding. Cracking product. Next product we've got lined up is British Gypsum MultiFinish. They also do another finish, which is British Gypsum board finish, designed just for plasterboard, but I only really use MultiFinish. This is, again, an amazing product. So now what you can see is I'm actually plastering that bit of Hardwall that you've seen before. MultiFinish will go on anything. You can work it on, like I said, Hardwall, backing plasters. You can plaster it onto sand cement. You can plaster it onto most different areas. In this situation, I'm plastering it onto plasterboard. Again, just because you're not using the board finish doesn't mean you can't use it on plasterboard. MultiFinish you can use on anything, as long as you prepare it properly. And again, that's not what this video is about. I'm just going to show you the different products and their uses. But it is a really, really nice product to use. It finishes at a real nice level, and it's just very versatile. Like most British Gypsum products, they are very good to work with. You've just got to get used to the process. But again, this is where MultiFinish comes in. It's good to be used for mainly every area to work on, and you can do it in most types. Okay, well, that's got your attention. If you want to learn a bit more about plastering, learn a whole process where we'll show you how to plaster a wall, what tools you'll need for the job, how to do it, how to get the mix perfect. That's obviously a big one for some people. Feel free to sign up to our free welcome course from Plastering for Beginners. You can click the link below, or this is something that should pop up around here. It's completely free, and we'll take you through the whole process of plastering through an email basis, where we'll send videos directly to you every day. Stay tuned. So if you like the idea of that, please sign up. Nice one. Let's continue the video. Next up, we've got Drywall adhesive. This is Plasterboard Adhesive, and British Gypsum do one. This is an Arthur German company. They do one, and we're going to use this product. It's good, and British Gypsum is also very good, but the idea is we mix this adhesive up, we stick the adhesive to the wall, and then we blob the plasterboard onto the adhesive. So that's the way round it goes, and that's what we'll be using. So this is what you use if you don't want to use solid plaster. Like I said before, we call this dot and dab. This is basically, well, it's pretty self-explanatory to be fair. You dot the plasterboard adhesive onto the wall, the masonry background, and then you literally stick the plasterboard to it. This is the fastest way of plastering onto masonry backgrounds. It's very effective. It is solid, but nowhere near as solid as British Gypsum. If you're using Hardwall, for example, as a backing plaster, like I showed you in the first clip, it is not as good as that. I still stand by that being the best way to plaster. It's the old school way, it's the strongest way, but in the way we are working to at the moment, it's very rare that I do backing plaster like this. A lot of my work is like this, dot and dab, using board adhesive, and you simply mix it up, dab it to the wall and stick your plasterboard to it. So that's your way around of getting your wall solid onto blockwork. Next up, I'm going to go old school. Let's talk about sand cement render. The most time tested product. You know, it's the one that's lasted the test of time. Brilliant product to use. Simple, very simple, just 2 ingredients, sand and cement. Simple as that. We add additives to it. You can add lime to it now, but the essence of it is just sand cement. And this can be used anywhere. You can use it on blockwork, you can use it to render, you can use it to do damp courses, you can do it to do externally, internally. And this is what you use if you want to do a damp course, but mainly we use this nowadays externally and if we're doing a damp course. As you can see, it's the same process. You apply it like you would do British Gypsum Hardwall, and then you rule it off flat. It's just a total different way of doing it, but as stated, this video is not about the process. I'm just showing you when and how to use it. And in this example, it's external, and I must admit, like I said, unless I'm doing a damp course, sand cement is mainly an external product for me, unless I'm doing decorative features internally, but mainly it's external render for your garden walls and your general thing like that. So what you do is you apply it, you float it, and then you can either sponge it, you can trowel it flat, there's lots of ways to finish it. You can make mouldings out of it, because it's a very versatile yet strong product to use. So that's it. They're the 4 main plasters. You've got MultiFinish, bonding, Hardwall and Drywall adhesive, and then as an extra thrown in some sand cement. So that's that. That's this video. That's the uses of the plaster, when to use them and how to use them. If you like this video, please like it, and if you have any comments, please post them below. I'm sure someone's got something to say. Please make sure you do. And it was great to present this video to you today. Thanks for watching it, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.